Ciao Milanisti, welcome back, and it's not the Ghost of Christmas Past. I'm back for one last video for 2023 to wrap up 2023, this first half of the season that we've seen so far. Much like the amount of content I've released this year, it's been quite disappointing, hasn't it? But not crashing, but going into the Europa League, not finishing in the top two spots in the Champions League despite relatively playing okay. I think we've been quite happy with the performances. Just the end product was poor against Newcastle and Dortmund in those first two games, which would have led to a different story. Nonetheless, but we go into the Europa League. The disappointing elements of this first half of the season has to be just an ineptitude to change the way we've done things. And the three biggest things about that is, one, we drop to the level of the opponents that we play against. Stefano Pioli, I think this is an issue that we've had before, hasn't it? It's an issue that we've had consistently when we drop points against weak sides. I'm not sitting here that you have to win every single game against the bottom 8 sides in the league, but you have to be racking up quite a lot of points, A, and then B, you have to be quite convincing in the manner. You can only lose or draw these games if truly it's against the run of play, which we see big sides in the league that happens against. But with us, it's the opposite. With us, it's we drop completely to the level of the opposition, and then, to be honest, we come away snaking a draw. And if I see another 2-2 draw away from home against these weak sides, Christ, I don't know what I'll do. But ultimately, I think there's a massive performance issue in the way we're playing against weak oppositions, which then lingers into the second overall issue, I think, with 2023 to wrap up. The tactics, the coaching, the way we've been playing football, it has not been good in my opinion. I think it's been pretty weak. I think we've struggled collectively adapting to a true 4-3-3, and there's been variations of the way we've played. Are we trying to slowly linger back into a 4-2-3-1 with Loftus-Cheek playing a bit more advanced? Are we this 5-5 split in the formation when Pioli has this the Arctic Sea in between the attack and the defence? It's just crazy. But ultimately, it's leading to really poor performances, really poor brand of football. You can't sit here and honestly say how we play football, because it's neither a high press or a low block. It's neither attacking style of football nor defensive. It's not. I don't know what it is. I don't understand what the roles are, beyond the fact that it's just get Rafa still, and hopefully he just takes on the right back and creates a genius chance or gets a shot off himself. I feel like players aren't being utilised to the best of their abilities. Even Pulisic, who's been putting up great stats, is ultimately being asked to just obviously run up and down defensively, but from an attacking perspective, just stay on the right side and don't do much, and kind of try to work some plays out with Calabria, who's like sort of the oncoming fullback. I think it's all becoming a bit too familiar right now. I think we should have really look to get the best out of the new players. But Reinders, I think, has been quite crucial in the way we're playing football, and I think he needs to improve on his IQ and releasing the ball at the right time. But even Loftus-Cheek and where he fits in sometimes isn't 100% there for me. I think he's a fantastic player and a fantastic signing, but ultimately building out the midfield three and how it all gels in with the attacking three just seems to be a bit odd. It seems to be just not quite right, and which leads to a lot of loss of possession, and it's finding us in situations where, because of the 5-5 split, we're getting caught out in the counter-attack. The biggest issue. So yeah, we've got issues with tactics, we've got issues where we're playing football, which has not been great. We've got issues where we're dropping to the level of our weak opponents, which has not been great. The biggest issue, and the last one to see out the three things, and this comes down to Pioli, it comes down to his team, his fitness team, is the amount of injuries we've had this season. And I'm going to sit here like a boring person, like a broken record, saying the same thing again and again, because it has been the same thing again and again, season after season after season, where we've had too many injuries. We've had too many injuries, and this is now just an accumulation of just what has been there the previous seasons, but we've just kind of let it slide a little bit because we've not had a squad to say, you know what, Pioli, you've been back to the squad, you've been back to a decent crop of players to be hopefully Scudetto favourites, but you then impacted that by just letting so many players get injured with obviously your fitness regime and the way you condition players. Previous seasons, it was kind of, everyone, all the players stepped up. You had players playing out of position, and it was this heart, the Cuore of the side. The Milan would just step up against the inevitable defeat, and despite the injuries, despite the things going their way with refereeing decisions. This year, that's out of the equation. Refereeing decisions, there's not been too many things that have gone against us. it's all self-inflicted. It's our mistakes. It's our injuries. It's on Pioli. It's on Stefano Pioli, sadly. And I've loved this coach and I've loved what he's brought to this club with the Scudetto, with back-to-back Champions League spots and qualifications, despite the fact last season was very cheeky how we got into the spot that time round. I've really loved what he's brought. I've loved the fact that we share a name. I've loved the fact that he's from Parma, like my family's from. I've loved all of that. But ultimately, I think we look back at 2023, this first half of the season, it is wrapped up perfectly in a bow underneath a panettone with the fact that this is Pioli's last year at the club. I think, look, filming this video on the 31st of December, he'll still be with the club on the first day of 2024. I guarantee, and we all know this and we all agree with it, that he'll be gone in 2024 at some point, whether it's July, whether it's May, whether it's January, whether it's bloody next week. He is going to be gone. The writing's on the wall, because I honestly think the players are not fully buying in. There are some players, you can sit here and say, he's lost to players. I think there's a middle ground bit with that. I think you can still have the players on your side because of self-respect for the player to still do well by themselves. But ultimately, are they buying in at the same level they bought in the previous seasons? I think the answer is no. I think they're still there because out of respect for him and respect for the club and respect for themselves. But there's certainly a massive gap between that and truly buying in with the coach. And I just don't think it's there, because you see it with certain players. You see it with the lack of effort. I love the fact you've seen the likes of Florenzi stepping up, being the real captain, the real leader of this side. Despite the fact that you've got some fans saying Pale should get the armband and disgruntled that Calabria's got it. You've got the true leaders showing their true colours and showing it with the team huddles at the end of the Sassuolo game, which Pioli wasn't being involved in. But ultimately, I just think it's not there with Pioli and the squad, and obviously leadership as well, disgruntled with the performances. That there's a split, there's a disparity of what should be happening and the expectations. And ultimately, I think his writing's on the wall. So look, going into next year, 2024, to see out the rest of the season, we've got Europa League football. We've got the Coppa Italia to compete in with Inter and Napoli out of it as well. We should be taking that seriously, and we're 9 points adrift of Inter Milan, but we have to shore up the top 4 spot and then see where we finish with the rest of the season in the league in the Scudetto hunt. I'm not saying we're in the Scudetto hunt. I'm just saying we just need to get back to basics and get performances on the card and try to keep players fit. And that is with Pioli staying or not. The biggest signing we can do in 2024 January transfer window is completely having an overhaul with the fitness department, using the time off with weeks between games to really just overhaul what we're doing here. The conditioning of the players is awful. Not even just players going down injured. We've got over 30 injuries since the start of the season, and over 5 or 6 players have not been injured. That is ridiculous in itself, let alone the fact that even though we have players that still play on the pitch and you would think, okay, they're being there's being overworked on the pitch, etc. That's why they're getting injured. That's not even the issue. You see them on the pitch and you think they're not even playing at or giving an effort at maybe 80 or 90%. They're probably playing at sort of 70%, some of these players. And you think, how are they still getting injured? How does Kalulu come back after a couple of games off or barely playing and then get injured? It's conditioning, and it's the way I think that he's not Pioli and the fitness team are not getting the best out of this squad. And there needs to come to a point now in 2024, honestly, where Cardinale's got to look at these players that he's brought in and look at them as assets. And the assets are being wearing thin, and they're it's going to deplete the transfer value. It's going to deplete the impact on what we do on the side, on the pitch, and obviously the performances and the revenue that can generate. And that comes down to his assets being affected by Stefano Pioli, because the way he's looking after it. Anyone in any role looking after his baby, his club, would be fired. And I think it's the right decision to be done. And I don't know when that happens. I personally would like that to happen sooner, because everyone could say, who do we get in now? I guarantee you, if this keeps up with the injuries, we'll be sitting here in 2 months' time going, well, we're out of the Europa League because we've just gotten beat because, we take weak teams unseriously and we don't have any players to play on the pitch. We're out of the Coppa Italia and we're 15 points adrift from the league title, and then we're also in the top 4 race and we made a complete hash of the season. I think this is the right moment to do something, to make something out of this season. We still have the chance, and I think it needs to come. I don't know who it's going to be. That's not my job to find that out. But ultimately, there's clear blotches of issues between tactics, fitness, and the way we play football against weak sides that are the glaring issues of 2023, and obviously Stefano Pioli, most importantly. And I don't want any sort of negative point. I love making content. I want to obviously make more content in 2024. That is my New Year's resolution to do. Here's to a new year, guys. Have a great New Year celebration, whatever you're up to. I think probably the time of this video coming out, it will be the new year. It will be 2024 officially. Hopefully that comes with much more better performances. We want to see this club win something in the second half of this season, whether it's Europa, whether it's the Coppa Italia. I'm not even going to talk about the Scudetto. Let's just get back to basics. Let's just get back to enjoying this brand of football. Let's get back to enjoying everything about this club. Until next time, guys, have a great New Year's. Enjoy the start of 2024, and Forza Milan.